You are welcome to this evening session. I need you to lend me a few minutes of your time as I take you through a very important historical conflict between, although not two, but the main focus is on two Akan tribes. When you come to Ghana here, a very profound and astute ethnic group here, Akan. Whilst these Akan states were sprouting out, there was a little misunderstanding I'm going to discuss with you. It's going to be a very interesting session with you this evening, so I need you to join me. I am going to talk about the type, the cause, the effect, and the media's role in resolution or management of the Ashanti and the Denkyira conflict. That's what we are going to talk about this evening. Now, let's begin. I want to begin by giving you a little background about how the conflict came about. I mean, everything about these two ethnic groups, okay? So, we said that this war happened between the 1699s and the 1701s, which marked the decline of Denkyira's superiority over the Ashanti people. Alright. The war actually brought about the emergence of the Ashanti kingdom. I am calling it a kingdom because as time goes on, you will know that it's a kingdom. And then it brought down the rule of the Denkyira people. What happened is that Ashanti and Denkyira are all Akan states. But then Ashanti is dominated by Denkyira. And as the date suggests, in the 1699s, that means that in the olden days, what I call the rule by the strongest. The Denkyira people found themselves to be stronger than the Ashanti people. So they were actually maltreating them, they were manipulating their way through. They saw that the Ashanti people had resources like gold, like men. And then mind you, the Europeans coming here, they collaborated with the stronger ethnic groups to be able for the stronger ethnic groups to manipulate the weaker ones, so the Europeans would get their gold and other resources from them, which I know that it was of their selfish interest. Now, before Denkyira became dominant over Ashanti, this is what happened. Denkyira itself, Ashanti itself, some other states like Insuta, like Esumenya, like Kwamai, and all other different states were ruled by another Akan state which is called Adanse. Okay, Adanse was very powerful and ruled all these sub-states of the Akan tribes. But something happened. Once upon a time, the prince of the Adanse king was going through the territory of the Denkyira people, and then according to oral history, he got to a riverside and saw one of the Denkyira females bathing by the riverside. You know, as a man, he decided to act. And so the lady shouted and Denkyira men came around. Now, mind you that Denkyira is a subordinate of Adanse, which Adanse king's son has happened to appear in the Denkyira land. In those times, if a king decree, you have no choice. If a king's son demands for anything, you have no choice than to give it out. So in the normal sense, the Denkyira men were supposed to allow the Adanse prince to actually have an affair with their woman. But mind you, they didn't do that. They removed his beard and put them in his hands to go and show it to his father, who happened to be their overlords. So when he showed that to his father also became very angry. I mean, don't you know that I am your overlord? Why do you do such a thing to my son? So he was very angry and he decided to organize and go and fight Denkyira for doing that. But if I may ask you, don't you think that the Adanse king should have just kept quiet? Because first of all, your son, what he did is wrong. So he shouldn't have it, but you know, because like I said, it is a rule by the strongest. He knew that he had the men, he had the resources, he had the power and all those things. He just want to go and fight them for doing that to his son. Unfortunately, when he went, he was conquered. So that was how the Denkyira people became dominant. Because Adanse used to rule them, rule Ashanti, rule other Akan states. But because of this happening, which pushed the Denkyira people to fight back the attack of the Adansi king, they overcame him. That was how they conquered him. So when they overcame, they had now become the superior power now. In those times, there was a king called Bua Amponsam. You have to pardon me for the names, okay? They are Akan and Ashanti names. It's called Bua Amponsam, okay? That was the time he was ruling. So they are the people now ruling the other Akan states, including Ashanti. The reason I'm focusing on Ashanti is because, mind you, Denkyira and Ashanti are the main focus in this masterclass, okay? Alright, so they are ruling them. They demand for gold, they demand for slaves. The reason why they demand for slaves is because the Europeans, when they came in the trading, they were also buying slaves from the Gold Coast. Okay, they were buying slaves from here. So, in order for Denkyira, who had now become the superior power, to provide slaves for the European people, they had to be militant. They have to develop wickedness against the other states, so that they can be able to get the slaves. This is selfishness. These are your own people, but then human beings, right? Because of selfishness, they don't care the wickedness towards their fellow Akan states. They just need slaves by all means. They just need gold by all means. Okay. Now let's move on. Ashanti, I'll tell you the reason why we have the name Ashanti, because the name Ashanti before was not Ashanti. Before, the name was Amansie. It's a key word. But then something happened and they got the name Ashanti. I will tell you that in a moment. Alright, so the Denkyira people had become so wicked towards the other states, including these Ashanti people. So the then king of Ashanti sat down and thought that, what is happening? You, our fellow Denkyira people, have become so wicked to us. And according to oral history, Ashanti was a peaceful farming community. They were just peace lovers. But one thing moved them. They realized that these our fellows are taking us for granted. They are becoming so wicked to us that it's unbearable. Okay. So the then king of Ashanti, Obri Yeboah, realized that for us to be able to fight back Denkyira, who is taking us for granted and demanding all kinds of things from us, let the other now I said before that it was not Ashanti before, it was Amansie. So he said, let the Amansie states unite to be able to fight Denkyira, because it looks like we are peace lovers, peasant farmers. We don't like war. And these Denkyira people are taking us for granted. One, they are strong, they have the men, they have weapons and all those things. So therefore, let we who are being manipulated by Denkyira come together. In unity, we will be able to fight them. That was the initiation of the Ashanti king, Obri Yeboah. Whilst this thing was taking place, the Denkyira people didn't know. But another subordinate of Denkyira, which is another Akan state called Doma, the Doma people said that, no, although we are also subordinates of Denkyira, but what this Ashanti king is doing, uniting other states, he must first of all attack us before going to attack Denkyira. Therefore, let us stop him. So the Doma people rose up against the Ashanti people, and then they killed Obri Yeboah. So now Ashanti, who is now uniting, and the meaning of Ashanti in Chi means Osanti, and that is how the name Ashanti came. Now I said before that before it was Amansie, now it is Ashanti. Meaning, because of the war, let us unite. Which war? The war which Denkyira, our overlord, is bringing on us. Let us unite. Whilst Obri Yeboah was leading this, Doma, another subordinate of Denkyira and another Akan state, rose up against Ashanti and killed Obri Yeboah. So it's like the idea and the ideology has been stopped. Nobody would lead again. So they will continue to be suppressed by the Denkyira people like that. And the Denkyira people are not ready to stop what they are doing, because they are doing it for their selfish interest. They are gaining their selfish profit from what they are doing. They trade with the European people. Now, the king of Ashanti is dead. Who takes over? Oral history and my research says that there was a little boy who was the nephew of Obri Yeboah. His name is Osei Tutu. I believe that you've heard this name, Osei Tutu. So this Osei Tutu boy was 16 years. Now, according to custom from Denkyira, if you, these are subordinates, you want to raise up a king, you want to instill a king, a queen, or any other person, then some people say that you are our subordinates, and so you don't know how to rule, you don't know anything. Bring the supposed ruler to Denkyira to come and learn how to rule. Okay? So when Osei Tutu was 16 years, he had to go to Denkyira to do that because it was a command, it was a demand by the Denkyira people. Automatically you have to. So he was sent to Denkyira to do that. Now, according to history, this guy was very handsome. Very, very handsome. Okay. So when he got there, you know, men be men. See, somebody say man now man. Indeed, man now man. The sister of the Denkyira king, should I say the lady fell in love with him or he fell in love with the lady? I can't tell any of them. Man now man. Okay. So he actually engaged in an adulterous act with the king's sister. The king's sister is called Ankobena Abensia. Now I told you before, you have to pardon me for the three names. So in engaging in this act with her, the lady got impregnated. Okay. The king was looking for Osei Tutu to, let me say, kill him. Somebody who is supposed to go and learn how to rule. He has got to engage in an adulterous act and impregnated the whole king's sister. Really? Some men are brave. I mean, and so he had to run away. When he was running, he didn't come back to his hometown because he knew they would rush over him then capture him. And the penalty was actually death. They would have killed him. Okay, so he ran to Akwamu. Now, according to history, Akwamu is another Akan state, but then these people were a little bit far from Denkyira and Ashanti. Oral history said that Akwamu was kind of enemies of Denkyira because it looks like when the Denkyira people were trading with the Western Europe, the Akwamu people were also trading with the other part of the Europeans that came. Okay, so that was the division. So it's like they were kind of enemies. Okay. When Osei Tutu got there, something happened. What happened? Now, there is another state under Akwamu which is called Ekwapem. Alright? There is an astute man in the Ashanti history called Okomfo-Anokye. If you have heard the name, Okomfo-Anokye. When Osei Tutu went to Akwamu, he met Okomfo-Anokye there. According to oral history, Osei Tutu's mother struggled before getting a child. And according to the advice of Obriyabua, who is the uncle of Osei Tutu, literally the brother of Osei Tutu's mother, is the one that advised Osei Tutu's mother that he knows a shrine at Ekwapem that if she goes there, she will get a child. But as to whether the shrine was Okomfo-Anokye's shrine, and the meaning of Okomfo in the Akan language means a fetish priest. Okay, so if I say Okomfo-Anokye, I'm saying the fetish priest Anokye, right? All right, let's move on. So Obriyabua actually told his sister that if you go to this shrine at Ekwapem, you will get a son or you get a child. That was how the mother of Osei Tutu got him. So it's like, if I don't really have evidence, but if I may conclude, I can say that Okomfo-Anokye, who is a spiritual man, knows Osei Tutu because the name Osei Tutu is the name of the shrine his mother got him from. But the real name is Osei, and they added the name of the shrine, which is Tutu, right? So I can say that maybe Okomfo-Anokye knew the guy when he saw him, because history says that when Osei Tutu went to Akwamu, he befriended Okomfo-Anokye. I don't know how many years later he had to come back to his hometown, which is Ashanti, to come and succeed his uncle who had been killed by the Doma people. When he was returning back, something happened. What happened? Let us move on. So I'm still talking about the background. Lawyer Yao Anokye Frempong is a very loaded man. The man is intellectually inclined, you know. There are certain things he talked about I want to refer to. Whilst Osei Tutu was returning from Akwamu to Kwamai, which is Ashanti, to succeed his uncle Obuyewa. He didn't come alone. Okomfanoche accompanied him back to Ashanti, right? Okomfanoche, who had stayed at Akwamu, had been able to join hands and heads with the Akwamu state and the kings and all those people. Now, note that before Okomfanoche also moved to Akwamu, he used to be in Denkyira. This Denkyira that I'm talking about. Okomfanoche used to be there. That was where he was practicing his fetish work. But what made him move from there was because at a point in time he demanded for somebody with Denkyira, they call it Denkyira, right? I don't really know the English name, so pardon me, on their hands for a sacrifice for the Denkyira people. So the Denkyira people took him, Okomfanoche's mother, and killed her. So it's like when he came to his senses and realized that really, you actually took my mother for me, and he said that these people are very wicked. That means that even if they get me myself, they will kill me. It doesn't matter, I am serving them spiritually and they will kill me. So he moved from Denkyira and went to Akwamu. That was when Osei went there and met him. So now Osei has been accompanied by Okomfanoche. And once Okomfanoche was coming, he also gathered some troops from Denkyira, okay, and brought them in company with Osei. So it looks like now Osei is strong now. Osei is kind of heavy now. So they are back to Kwamai, which is Ashanti. Alright? According to history, they settled at a place in Kumasi recently, a place called Edum. That was where Okomfanoche, the troops they brought from Akwamu, settled at it. History says that the Ashanti people, they are very common with corrupting words. The name is actually Enum because they named the place after the leader of the gang that came with Okomfanoche and Osei. And the name was Enum Asamwa. And corruption of words along the line, the Ashanti people, they turned it into Edum. So when you go to Kumasi right now, there is a place called Edum. That was where the troops from Akwamu settled. Right? Now, when they came back, the plan for Osei was actually to avenge his uncle who had been killed by the Doma people. So his first plan was to attack the Doma people for attacking his uncle, right? So plans have started taking place. Okomfanoche, who are now accepted to support Osei doing everything, is actually fighting back their enemies, told the Ashanti people that, look at something. One thing that is fighting Denkyira is that these Denkyira people, they are selfish. One, they are people who show the roots of people. It's like they are racist. Okay, so he told the Ashanti people that for you to be able to establish your kingdom, don't be like the Denkyira people. Love everybody, even if you conquer them, love them. Okomfanoche, according to history, is older than Osei, which is obvious. And according to oral tradition, he's one of the wisest people, alright? So he actually told the Ashanti people who were trying to unite and become one that the gods. Now, if we say gods, that means you will obey because those times they honored the gods. They showed allegiance, kind of respect for the gods. So Okomfanoche told them that the God says that all the states. Now, there were some few major states in Ashanti. One is Bekwai, 2 is Mampong, 3 is Ejiso, 4 is Insuka, 5 is Kwamai, which is Kumasi. Now, the capital of Ashanti is Kumasi. I take it again. Don't be confused. Are you enjoying the class? The capital of Ashanti is Kumasi, right? And the reason why the name Kumasi came before, it was not Kumasi, it was called Kwamai. Kwamai. Later it turned into Kumasi. And the reason why Kumasi is also another thing, we talk about it along the line, okay? Alright. And the last state, which is Esumenya. So these major states were the ones that Okomfanoche in his wisdom helped Osei to unite. When he made the states come together, he said that all the states which are now coming together to form the Ashanti Union should bring their kings, because it's like they were running a federal government. Every little state had their ruler. So if we are united, then Okonfanoche thought that if these people unite with these their little kings and their stools, there will still be misunderstanding, and even them who want to unite will turn fighting themselves. Look at what Okonfanoche did. He told them that the God says. I think that Okonfanoche knows what he's doing, because these people are people who have reverence for God. So every time the God says, it's like they are humble. If the gods are really saying something, what are they saying? We have to listen. So he told them that the God says that all these states should come together as one. All these states should have one king. All these states should see that one king as their leader. But the truth of the matter is that, maybe you have heard of that story. He chanted for a golden stool and told them that all these kings that have come around, the king of the Kwai, the king of Ofenso, the king of Mampong, the king of Grabe, Insuta, Kwamai, which is Kumasi. Now, Kumasi's king is automatically Osei Tutu. You know that? Right. And the king of Esuminya, all these kings, whichever of them that the golden stool will land on his thigh, he will be the king or the leader of these states coming together. Right? At this point, be thinking of something. Okonfanoche knows Osei Tutu. He knows the plans of Osei Tutu, that he wants to avenge his uncle who had been killed. Okonfanoche is helping this Osei Tutu achieve that aim. Okay? Personally, I don't think that there is no way Okonfanoche, even if it was not a golden stool coming down, would select any other king apart from Osei Tutu. Because he is the one with the aim to unite them. But well, he said the golden stool, whoever it lands on his thighs, will be their leader. Will you guess? He landed on the thighs of Osei Tutu. So, Okonfanoche made the remaining kings buried all their stools and told them that from that day, the new stool is the golden stool, which will be the stool for all the remaining kings. So there is no other stool for you to sit on, for you to be claiming leadership and superiority and whoever, whatever. Now, all your stools have been buried. You have one stool, which is the golden stool. You have one leader and a king, who is Osei Tutu. Are we okay? So can we say that Okonfanoche is wise? Or can we say that he knows what he's doing? I leave it for you to decide. Alright, so this is what happened, okay? The golden stool is now here. Osei Tutu has been made the leader and the king of the Ashanti people, which comprises of all these states that I'm talking about. Let's move on to the purpose of their coming together. Right. There is a book written by E.N. Safo, a Ghanaian, published by the Bureau of Ghana Languages in 1961. And in the book, it is said that the king of Denkyira now, when I mean now, I'm talking about the time where Osei Tutu has been made king in Ashanti, right? When he was 16 years, the king in Denkyira was Buamponsam, right? Are we on the same page? Another king came in Denkyira. In all those times when those kings were succeeding in Denkyira, Osei Tutu was still in Akomu where he has around to, right? Now Osei Tutu is back to Ashanti. You don't expect to see the same king who used to exist when Osei Tutu went to Denkyira to impregnate his sister. You don't expect that same king to be there. So now the new king that they had in Denkyira is called Ntinjakari. And Osei Tutu has also been made the king in Ashanti. I quoted to you that the book is called Afrakoma, written by E.N. Safo and published by the Bureau of Ghana Languages. This book says that the lady, the king's sister, Ankobena, whom Osei Tutu impregnated those times, the child that came out of that pregnancy is the king now, called Ntinjakari. Very interesting. Will you believe that? That book says that Ntinjakari, who is now the king in Denkyira, is the son of Osei Tutu, who is the king of Ashanti. Do you think it is possible? Let's go on and see. Now, This Intinjakari, I know definitely that he knows that the Ashanti Empire is a subordinate of where he's ruling now as a king, which is Denkyira. So he's continuing with what he came to hear, which is controlling the Ashanti Empire and the other Akan states for their selfish interest. Now, Ashanti has a king, Ashanti has a golden stew. They are planning to revenge on Denkyira. Along the line, as a tradition, Denkyira always demand tribute from the Ashanti people. So, along the line, Intinjakari, the king of Denkyira now, has sent messengers. He has heard that Ashanti has a new king now. They have had a golden stool, and then also they have fought Doma. Remember Doma, right? The Ashanti people have fought Doma and conquered them. Is that right? Okay. So Intinjakari sent messengers to Ashanti to ask, you Ashanti, don't you know that I am your overlord? Why is it that I control both you and Doma? And you are going to fight Doma and you didn't come and ask permission from me. You see what superiority is pushing Denkyira to do? And in the sense of Intinjakari, who is as said the son of Ashanti. So literally, Intinjakari is talking to his father now. Look at how he's even talking to him. Don't you know that I am your Lord? And you were going to fight Doma, you didn't ask for permission. Now I have also heard that you have a golden stool. Bring me the golden stool as soon as possible. I hope you are enjoying this. It's a very interesting story. In Tinjakari, we have sent messengers. As usual, you have to go and pay tribute to your overlord. Now, the annoying part to Denkyira in Tinjakari is that you people, you are going to fight them and you didn't come and ask permission. You have a golden stool, which you know that I am your Lord. You are not bringing it to me, you are keeping it. So he sent messengers, go and bring me that thing. Something happened. What happened? Let's look at it. The calabashes that the messengers brought were to be filled by the Ashanti people with gold. But in those times, gold was nothing. I mean, the people, according to history, they picked gold like stones from the ground. And then Intinjakari also demanded for something. I believe that this thing that Intinjakari, who is now the enthroned king, is demanding from the Ashanti people, is even part of the reason why the Ashanti people really moved at a time to go and fight back Denkyira. Because when the grandfather of Intinjakari was ruling Ashanti, he was taking tribute from them. But then it was not to the extent where Intinjakari would take it to. Look at some of the things he's demanding for. He told them that these chiefs, these Ashanti kings that have come together, each of them should cut off his finger, add it to the calabash, which is supposed to be filled with gold. And then lastly, each of the kings should add his favorite wife. Can you imagine? I mean, no serious. I told you, no serious man will actually let you joke around his wife. Each chief is supposed to add his favorite wife. If you are asked to bring your favorite wife, what will you do? How will be your action? I don't think any real man will literally look at his favorite wife being taken away like that. So he moved one king in Ashanti to act. Now, before that, as part of tradition and the demand of Denkyira, I'm talking about before, they made sure that the Ashanti people actually sent their wives to Denkyira. But they did not specify that it could be your favorite wife or whatever. They say your wife. And history says that they spend like 2-3 months. If your wife is gone somewhere and has gone to spend 2-3 months and returns, what do you think as a man? Man. So history says that by the time they return, some of the women, they are impregnated. Because as a wife, you cannot just go somewhere like that. As a king is calling you, oh, you know it, right? So if your wife goes, by the time your wife returns, she's impregnated. It's like it was a burden for the Ashanti people, but they had no choice. These are your overlords. What can you say? You have no choice. But in Tinjakari, it's like I say, he's inventing something more deeper than what used to happen. So when he said favorite wife and also demanded for the gold, now Konfanochi told the Ashanti people something. He told them that the stools of the states that has been buried, the souls of the state had been buried, and that the golden stool that has come represents the soul of the new Ashanti Empire. So he told them that even if they go for war and they lose, they should make sure that the golden stool is not taken away, or else their soul has been taken away, and that they will be defeated as an empire forever and never again resuscitate. So it's like they were conscious that no matter how it is, doesn't matter what happens to them, their golden stool, don't touch it. So this ideology instilled a form of militancy in the Ashanti people. When the messengers entered into the palace of Ashanti to deliver this message from Denkyira, something happened in the palace of Osei. Okay, what happened? Let us look at it. Also, it was not only wives that were sent to Denkyira. Sometimes the men of Ashanti were sent there to go and clean the Denkyira township. They give them cutlasses and hoes to clean up the town before they return. Can you imagine that? So, a king of Jabin is one of the states that have come together as Ashanti, and the king is called Adakwayadom. This is the king who said that for him to allow his wife to go to Denkyira, which of course he knew that by the time his wife returns, she's impregnated, he would never and never allow it. That was the first time they could retaliate against the decree of the Denkyira king. So he stood up in the palace and told the messengers that for him to allow his wife is called Bravery, for him to allow Bravery, his favorite wife, to go to Denkyira, he would never in his life do that. That was what gave the courage to the king, Osei, to also say that if Adakwayadom says he would never allow his wife Bravery to go to Denkyira, then he, Osei, to also not allow his wife Amanie, the wife of Osei is called Amanie, to go to Denkyira as well. So the Ashantis developed a proverb on that date out of this scene, which says that se Bravery amba Amanie amba, right? Se Bravery amba Amanie amba. In direct translation in English, it means that if Bravery did not come, Amanie also did not come. Bravery, like I said, is a wife of Adakwayadom. Amanie is the wife of Osei. Okay. So, it's like it has now given a kind of boost to the remaining Ashanti chiefs, because that was the first time they were able to rebel against the decree of the Denkyira king, that they will not do what he demands them. You know what happened? When they did this, they filled the calabashes with sand. And instead of cutting their fingers, they cut off the ears of the messengers rather and added it. So, bring your wife, they did it. Fill the calabashes with gold, they did it. They filled it with sand. Cut off your fingers and bring it, they did it. The literal meaning of this is that they have declared war between them and the Denkyira people. Because the Ashantis also understood the message of Denkyira differently. And the reply of the nonsense which Denkyira has sent to them is that filling the calabash with gold, we will fill it with sand. Our wives, we will not send them. And cutting off our fingers, we will cut off the ears of your messengers. That was where the war started. So the major part of this historical conflict that I'm talking about to you is the war between the Denkyira and the Ashanti people. Alright? So this is how the war started. Let's look at what happened. The war took place at a place called Feyase. Okonfanoche, who had been in Akwemu for a while and knew that the Akwemu people, they were strategic when it comes to war, because the Ashanti people, like I told you before, they were just peace lovers, farmers. They didn't know, they had no knowledge about war. They had no strategies. So it was Okonfanoche that taught them that when you are going for war, you don't just go, you actually plan. You put paper down, you plan which troops to be in front, which troops to be behind, if left and right, all those places you have to put troops There, you don't just or say to develop all these strategic planning. Denkyira didn't know that Ashanti had now developed like this. So when the war began, Denkyira on the other part were conquering the Ashanti people. But they didn't know that the Ashantis have planned their major and militant soldiers at a place called Fenyase. That was when they did. Well, that was when they conquered Denkyira, because that was when the strong soldiers were. Because one thing that happened is that when Okomfanochi and Osei came back to Asante from Okomfanochi, according to his wisdom, made Osei align himself with the northern people. And these northern people were living in Asante, a place where they call Bantama. Now, according to history, these northern people were strong men. So Okomfanochi told Osei to do that. You know that Asante, you don't really have men. Unite with these northern people and let them help you because they are strong. And also, when you realize that your Ashanti men are being killed at the war front, let your women have affair with the northern men which you are united with and let them produce more children. The reason is because the Ashanti people, they inherit from their maternal side and not from the paternal side. So even if the northern people bring forth children with your women, it does not really cost you anything. After all, if there is any inheritance, it's not from the paternal side, it's from the maternal side. So it's not really going to cost anything. That was how the Ashanti and the northern people also collaborated. So Ashanti has now built up. So they had the men. And they met Denkyira at a place called Fenyase. They conquered them. According to the book I told you before, E.N. Safu, Okomfanochi turned himself into a female and went to Denkyira, because remember he's a spiritual person. So he went to Denkyira whilst the war was taking place. In Denkyira is somebody that history says that he loves women. So whilst the war was taking place, he was having pleasure. Denkyira was actually in bed with a woman who is Okomfanochi now. So whilst the people were at war, Denkyira was enjoying, and that is one of the things that constituted to the defeat of the Denkyira people. The thing that Okomfanochi did was that he told the Ashanti people before they went for the war that there must be somebody to lead the troops for the war. Osei is supposed to do that, but according to the council of Okomfanochi, he told him that if he goes for that war, he will not return. Even if he returns 7 days later, he will die. So somebody has to take his place as a king and lead them. And what he was supposed to do is that he will dress up as if he's going to war, but he will not carry any arm. He will not attack anybody. He was actually supposed to lead like that. He was supposed to be killed so that Ashanti will have the freedom they are looking for. Another king also sacrificed for him to be buried alive. These were the rituals that took place according to them before they were able to conquer Denkyira, and he was buried alive. Another king also has to be butchered alive, and the pieces of his flesh will have to be thrown onto the land of Denkyira. According to Okomfanochi, wherever the pieces of his flesh fell, the men who were there, Denkyira people, the men will actually become like women, and they will lose their courage to fight. So Ashanti has been able to conquer Denkyira now. Literally, Ashanti has become the lords now. But one thing about Ashanti, which Okomfanochi told them was that any tribe you conquer, don't be like Denkyira. Don't become so superior over them. See them as brothers. So one thing about the Ashanti people is that if they conquer you, they call you our brother. They don't separate you from them and show you militants like Denkyira was doing. Okay. So that was how they conquered Denkyira. And Ashanti now got their freedom and their liberty to be themselves. Okay. I'm about to talk to you about some terms in the course. Alright? So talking about the causes of the war. According to the course, we have root causes and we have direct causes. The root causes, there are two. One is the political structure. Two is the economic factors. Now, talking about the political structure as a cause to the conflict, we say that in our own words, we borrowed that theory that says that they rule by the strongest. So one of the causes is that Denkyira had one way or the other become the strongest over Ashanti. So the tension that is being created is what pushed the Ashanti people to fight for their freedom. And that was what brought about the conflict. Right? The second aspect is that economic factors. So it's like Denkyira has really monopolized the roots of trading with the European people, and the means of trading and the means of production for Denkyira was literally the Ashanti people in the other Akan states. That was another reason or another cause for the conflict. Let us look at the direct causes. Now, one of the direct causes that there is a change in policy. This change in policy is that I told you before that it was not from the time of Denkyira where the Ashantis were paying tribute to Denkyira. They were paying before. But a change in policy is when this Denkyira has now initiated that Ashantis are supposed to cut off their fingers and ask their favorite wives and bring them to him. It's like a change, something that we have observed in a particular way. You have come, you have changed it. That is what moved the Ashanti people to act and say that no, for our favorite wives, never, and for our fingers, no. All right, because they are in the tradition of Ashanti, no maimed person can ever become a king. So literally, if they cut off their fingers, you're actually making them maimed, stopping them from becoming kings. So Ashanti understood the demand of Denkyira differently. Because the moment you cut off our fingers, you have made us maimed, and you are stopping us from being rulers. So therefore, we will resist you. That was the change in the policy. Let's look at the next direct cause, symbolic threat. And in this one, we say that Denkyira intentionally undermined the world views, the values, and the identity of the Ashanti people. For example, the Ashanti people weren't satisfied with the tribute they were asked to pay by Denkyira already. For example, some of the things that were demanded were on every Akwasidai, alright? Akwasidai is a festival. Ashanti was supposed to fetch firewood. Ashanti was supposed to fetch plantain fiber. And Ashanti was also supposed to add their women and send them to Denkyira. That was the tribute that was being paid. They were not supposed to fill calabashes with gold. They were not supposed to cut off their fingers. And they were not supposed to add their favorite wives. The tribute was firewood and plantain fiber, alright, to Denkyira. Now, plantain fiber was used as toilet rolls in Denkyira. Literally, Ashanti understood that thing as the Denkyira people taking them for nothing. It's like they are nothing. Because for you to fetch plantain fiber, which is used as toilet rolls in Denkyira, you're overlord. That means you are nothing to them. That was the meaning of fetching plantain fiber to Denkyira. Now, let's look at some conflict types or theories that applies to the conflict. Can we move on? I believe you're enjoying the class. Enjoy it because this is a very interesting story that you have to know. So the first theory that I'll talk about is what we call the structural theory of conflict. What does this theory suggest? This theory says that conflicts arises because of tension that is created between groups who fight over scarce resources. The next theory is psychological conflict theory. This theory also says that it is natural for man to act to unpleasant situations. What is the unpleasant situation here? My friend, you cannot be using somebody's wife as too fake. Neither can you be chewing somebody's wife as chewing gum. No, you can't be using somebody's wife and you claim his favorite wife as your breakfast, your lunch, and your supper. What do you mean by that? You even finish and you use the same wife as your snack. What do you mean by that? No, 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 no. So this theory says that psychological theory says that it is natural for man to react to unpleasant situation. So it was natural for the Ashanti and to be specific, and that whose wife was Bravery, and then Osei whose wife was Amanie, to say to the messengers of Denkyira that never will we allow our favorite wives to come to you for you to use it. No, no, no. It cannot happen. So it was natural for them to act, right? Let's look at some of the roles of the media in this conflict management. Number one rule is that journalists must practice balance and neutral reporting, and then gathering perspectives of both factions involved. Okay, so we said that one of the role of the media in conflict management, and especially in this one, in these times, if you are reporting on it, you have to make sure that you practice what we call balanced reporting, and make sure you engage both sides. The second rule is that you have to make sure that as a journalist, you understand the historical and cultural context behind the conflict. Don't just coin simple phrases out of nowhere and start reporting on it. No, no. Understand the historical background like I have given you. The third role of the media in conflict management is what we call ethical responsibility. So as a journalist, there is what we call journalistic ethics. As a journalist, you have ethics. These are not laws. They are normal human reasonings that helps you to know what is right from what is wrong. So as a journalist, you have to get it at the back of your mind that you consider responsible ethical practices and avoid sensational words like defeated, like conquered, like massacre. Just avoid those words coming your way as your lecturer to give you insight about the Ashanti and Denkyira conflict, the causes, the effects, and how the Ashanti people were able to assert their liberation from the Denkyira people. Well, I am an apostle of God, but then the Bible says, study to show thyself approved unto who? Unto God, right? We are in this world, we will do kingdom, but then you have to also build your intellect. Is that right? You have to school with them, educate yourself with them, and even if you are with them, make sure you beat them. Make sure you beat them in everything, in academics, in whatever. I mean, competition, anything. Make sure you lead. All right. So we are with them. We are leading them. We are beating them. We are actually the head and not the tail. Okay. But then also, we have an assignment. That's why I call myself the see me in chambers. I will tell you.